Be'ezrat Hashem, B'siyata Deshmaya, we are back in the Limut here at the Drash David Chai, B'siyata Deshmaya. Today is the 11th of the month of Shvat, and which is Monday of Parashat Shabbat Yitro. We'll be discussing two mitzvot d'oraita, mitzvah number 221, Dinei Olelot. Okay, so mitzvah 220 was also Dinei Olelot, but it goes both ways. As we said, there is a payout, which is corners must be left, right, from your fields. Something applied for a vineyard. We also are obligated to live for the vineyard. So mitzvah number 220, it's mitzvot aseh, is a commandment. We're going to make B'ezrat Hashem this limud today. Lulu Nishmat Benjamin Ben Abba. What? What's your brother's name? Benjamin Ben?
Janet.
No, Papa.
Abba Hamza Mordechai.
Mordechai. Benjamin Ben Mordechai, Lulu Nishmato, Baruch Hashem. Nachal B'Gan Eden, Michal Shar, all the Neshamot in the world. B'ezrat Hashem, all the Yidden that passed away. You should have an aliyah from the limud of this beginning now. Now, also, so mitzvah number 220 was discussing where we have a commandment, we have an obligation to leave aside, to leave over certain parts of the field for the poor people. Mitzvah now number 221 goes vice versa. It's a prohibition to collect anything from the corner, meaning you must not completely collect your field, which is prohibition. One is to allow to keep something over for the aniyim from your field, from your vineyard. And number 221 today we'll be discussing mitzvah of prohibition of collecting everything, meaning keeping it empty, the field. That's a prohibition. Mitzvah aseh, mitzvah lo taseh, in the same concept. And obviously there is a difference. Why Kadosh Baruch Hu makes such a halachot, and there's a lot of learning that comes out from it. Sometimes Hashem tells us if Hashem told us already to mitzvah number 220 to leave over a corner of your vineyard, why is Hashem coming here and telling us in mitzvah 221 we're not allowed to not leave over a corner? So that's what basically it is.
We're not allowed to leave?
Not to leave a corner.
Oh, meaning we have to.
Again, mitzvah 220 we must.
We must.
Mitzvah 221 prohibiting us not to leave it empty.
Oh, not to leave that corner empty.
Yeah. Okay? So that's 221.
Maybe
and
it's like, at least you should
not
put
maybe.
something.
No, Habibi, no. There's a lot of learning. There's a lot of deep, and it's not just one mitzvah. There's a lot of mitzvot like this, like this way and that way, and there's a lot of limut. And hopefully, maybe we'll touch it today. We'll have a little bit grasp why Hashem does that. Why? What do you want to say? What's maybe?
No, I'm saying that one mitzvah could be you gotta put maaser in the corner.
Okay.
Right.
Okay.
Another mitzvah could be if it's hard for you to put let's say you don't have enough, or meaning whatever you put something. I don't know.
No, the only reason why you're saying that is because you didn't understand the concept.
Yeah,
very simple. It's like this. In what? No. I hear what you're saying, but it has no connection to what we're saying here. We're saying like this. Hashem said, you have let's say 1,000 acres, and you want. So Hashem's telling you to leave over 1 out of 60, right? Rabbanan. Hashem said to leave one. Hashem said to leave even one kernel, one grape would be enough. But it said 1 out of 60. So let's say if you have 1,000 acres, you would have to leave about 18 acres for aniyim. Okay? So what happens is, so on one side Hashem says leave the 18 acres with that number. Let's say follow that number for a second. It's times 60, right? So 18 times 60 is approximately 1,000 acres. A little bit, so it's less than 18. Okay, but it doesn't matter. So you have Hashem says leave over those 17 something plus acres. Good. No, it's actually less than 17. It's 16.7, something like that. So leave over those approximately 17 acres for the poor. And another halakha, and that's the other one. The halakha says you may not leave the 17 acres. That's the 221 today. And maybe the Rambam will tell us why this like it's a little bit strange, because you already commanded me to leave over 17. Why are you commanding me not to leave over 17? You hear what I'm saying? That's the 221. 222, that's shayach also for today, is Dinei Peret Lanim. La'azov Peret Akerem Lanim. So Peret means that whenever you're gathering grapes, like anything, especially when you're touching a cluster, if the fruit is very heavy, the branch will not hold the fruit, right? Let's say an individual berry, individual grape will fall off, and that's the mitzvah number 222. You must abandon. So again, same thing. Mitzvah number 222 will say you must abandon that grape that fell down, and mitzvah number 223, tomorrow's mitzvah, will tell us you're not allowed to pick up that grape. You know what's going on here? Same concept. On one side, it tells us you must whatever grapes fell down, you must abandon them. On the other side, it tells us whatever grapes that fell down, you're not allowed to pick them up.
Meaning it becomes like two averot.
That's right. For sure, it's two averot. Of course. Okay, but maybe not. What's your intention? What was your intention, right? Your intention was you're saying that Hashem told you must leave it.
Let's say somebody's sick and you don't have anything else to give him. Can you go pick up the grape to give it to him?
Okay, so that's so you're the ani now. So you're the ani. Any ani. What's the difference? Who's the ani?
I saying
whoever the ani. It's leftover for the ani, for the poor person. So if you're that poor person, you keep it for yourself. What's the shayla? You pick it up. That's not a question at all. Okay, let's go. Let's dig into it. You ready, Rabbi Eliyahu?
I'm here. I'm with you. I understand everything so far.
Good. So it says like this: "Shelo lechalot kol perot hakerem be'at habatzver." So whenever you're gathering, the Torah tells us we are prohibited to completely empty out the vineyard. Aber yaniach mehem pe'ah la'aniyim. You must leave over a corner for the poor people. Shneimar, as it says, "V'karmecha lo te'olel." It says you're prohibited to gather, to empty out your vineyard. V'zeo pe'at hakerem. And here the Chachamim tell us in this mitzvah, it's talking to us that even your vineyard, which is a tree, you must leave over a corner of your field. Ken katab Rambam. This is the language of Rambam. Rambam zichrono lebracha. Ve'od amar ki mi shekatuv lo tifa'er acharecha bezitim. יורה גם כן על פאת הזיתים, כי פאת הזיתים נקראים פארות, פאת הכרם עוללות. So now, what about olive trees? So the Torah says, there is a different pasuk that tells us, לא תפאר, so אחריך בזיתים. So there's a play of words. When it says לא תעולל, the word תעולל is referring to, it's going to refer to over here, fruits that are connected with berries, like, what's his name? Like the grape, like a berry, like it's small. It's part of a whole ishkol. Where in the contrast, where it's talking about date, the olive tree, it says the word lotifayat. So that's the language. And from there, so that's deoraita. Deoraita, it's telling us only sounds like only olive and sounds like only the grape. But Chachamim tell us no. You could actually learn it on all the trees in the Torah. What happened? You got my up. Okay. Okay. I don't know what's going on with this phone. Okay, here it is. Answer. Something's wrong with this phone. Okay. Mechila. Okay, so that's Rambam tells us that there is a difference of pe'ah and zaitim and kerem. Olelot. Pe'ah for the zaitim is tifa'er, lo tifa'er, and olelot is talking about grapes. So Rambam holds that those two trees, midoraita, make other trees also you have to leave. Okay, which is again, the Torah only speaks about olive and only speaks about grapes. Where do you come off telling me that apples also have to leave over pe'ah? Where's that? What the connection? So Ramban zichrono lebracha hisig alav bazeh ve'amar ki kulo ta'ut. He says no. Rambam, with all due respect, is mistaking. That's the Ramban. Today, by the way, if anybody says that my Rosh Yeshiva made a mistake, they will declare that person apikoros, which is a shod. They made out of our Torah, Kedosha, Christianity. That's how Christians talk, by the way. Christians, if you say anything against anybody, you're right away, you're apikoros. That's Christians talk. Chas v'shalom. Here you see Ramban, who lived about 300 years later than Rambam, and he says openly, and against Rashi also he says the same thing. When Rashi, he feels that Rashi made a mistake, for him it's not a problem to say they made a mistake. And if my Rosh Yeshiva,
the whole Torah we're arguing back.
That's right. That's
Back
right.
and
But
forth,
today they'll tell you you're Apikoros, and here's how I'm Apikoros.
but
You want to hear how people
person-
tell me? You want to hear me? You want to hear how people call me Apikoros? I'll tell you. Today my Rosh Hashiva declared that all the divorces are because of men. And I say my Rosh Hashiva is mistaken, and I told it to his, we spoke personally. I said, how's it possible? I actually say that all the divorces today is from the woman's side. Because I asked him a simple question to my Rosh Hashiva. I asked him a very simple question.
From here, all from there.
That's right. It is from there.
Never.
It is.
Never.
Yes, it is. So I asked him a very simple question where he
Takes
did
two
not
to
answer,
Takes two
and
to
he
tango.
actually backed off a little bit because I asked him a very serious point. I said, Quod Rosh Hashiva, I know that today you're going to declare me Apikoros because I went against you. But the simple question that I asked to Rosh Hashiva, what changed? Did the man change in 100 years? Nothing. The man is the same thing for the past thousands of years. Same Gava, same Ta'avot, same everything. Maybe Ta'avot went up a little bit because of the more exposure. But what changed in the last 70, 80 years? Woman.
A little bit. It went up a lot.
Yeah, they're the same thing. Woman, however, changed 100 degrees, 180 degrees. Woman changed 180
100
degrees.
years ago, there's a picture, Deal, New Jersey.
Yeah.
Deal Beach.
Yeah.
Goyim. A picture of Goyim.
Clothing. Everybody's wearing clothing.
Everybody's wearing.
Yes.
Women were
Yeah.
wearing dresses on the
Dresses.
beach.
That's
with
right.
Shoes, with shoes.
That's right. So I asked
And
Rosh
men were
Hashiva.
wearing
I asked Rosh
jackets with
Hashiva,
shorts.
with מחילה מכבודכם, my Rosh Hashiva, my dear Rosh Hashiva, Rav Dovid Lupian Shlita, שיהיה בריא ושלם לכל מחייו, the nechet of Rav Eli Lupian. So I said to him, where you see what are you talking about here? Where you see men being wrong? He thought about it, and he says, another important view. And if I was afraid, like the Chas v'Shalom today, if you go against your Rosh Hashiva, you're Apikoros, when my Rosh Hashiva would have heard that view. Another Rosh Hashiva tells me, Avram, today you need 10 dates to get married. I said, no, 3 dates is more than enough. So now I'm Apikoros because I go against them? 3 dates is more than enough. You believe in Hashem or you don't believe in Hashem? So what's the difference? You go out on 100 dates. 3 dates is more than enough to get married. More. On the third day, there should be a proposal already. I know that nobody's ready to do. Nobody wants to do. That's the problem.
There's other things going on. The
Because
language
everybody's
at
got-
home. The
because
language-
everybody's
who
got-
brings the language home.
Yeah.
The man.
Okay. Anyway, we'll talk about it. When I'll give shidduch. Well, I'll give classes on shidduch on marriage. We'll talk about it. Okay. Masginan ze al gabe ze. So now, says Ramban. Ramban made a mistake, and don't forget those words. Those are very important words, and it's not a problem when you say that. Yes, Rosh Hashiva making a mistake. With all due respect, like the Ramban says here. By the way, if you take a look at Rav Yitzchak Yosef, who paskin a lot of halachot against his father, against Rav Ovadia Yosef, and he says, with all the kavod, you must say, with all the respect and everything. Somebody comes to me, Rabbi, I want to tell, something came to my mind, and I want to express my something. And it happened to be that, the shul is davening. You're right. The guy looks at me and he says, Rabbi, we can't talk in the middle of davening. And he ran away. He didn't want to hear what I wanted to say. Okay. He's right. On one side, we're davening, Rabbi. How dare you talk? But on the other side is, how do you approach the issue? How do you approach the issue? No, Rabbi Sofer, you're not a big rabbi. So I wanted to ask.
I missed something. This was regarding talking during davening?
Yes.
In general.
In general, I was not praying yet. I didn't say Baruch Shamar yet. I was before Baruch Shamar. And a thought came to me, and the person just walked in, and for some reason, Hashem wanted me to say something out loud. You hear? So I wanted to say it. So he's right. He approached me. He says, no, we don't talk in the middle of davening, and he went away. The shaila is, how do you do it? How do you approach each situation with respect or disrespect? And they're very important. It is very important. So here it says Ramban. Ramban says, with all due respect to Rambam, but it's a mistake how Rambam learns. V'amar ki lav dukarmecha miyuchad davka bekerem. He says, first rule is when it comes to vineyard, it's Torah's prohibition specifically for vineyard. והוא שנניח בה כל הענבים הקטנים שאין להם כתב ונטב. So there's an obligation in the Torah to specifically leave over grapes. Which grapes? Like this. Ramban says that we are talking about a cluster. Do you know that grapes have also grow on their own? Not all the time grapes grow in a cluster. If you ever been to vineyard, you will know what I'm talking about. There is individual grapes. Yes. Says Ramban, Those the Torah tells you you're not allowed to take. You hear what's going on here? The machloket right away started. Rambam says whatever fell off from the cluster.
The grape tree.
Grape tree
And like
has sometimes offshoots.
Little.
That's right. One just grape, just one grape grows. Yes, those offshoots. That's what Ramban talking about. ופירוש כתב, פסגין זה על גבי זה, אוקיי, נתב תלויות כולן ויורדות. ונמצא לפי זה שעוללות הן ענבים הקטנים הנמצאים בכרמים לפעמים. So he says, what's olilot? He says, there's certain ways that the grape goes like this. Listen to this. What's the eshkol? What's the cluster? A cluster is, it spreads, goes down, big, and then in the bottom it comes back together, right? Says Ramban, no, there is another type of grape that's growing, and that's olilot. What is that? You see a stem of a cluster, but the grapes are growing on one side, one without the other. On one side, not opening like a basket, but it's not spreading, right? Like a regular cluster that they sell in the stores. They will never sell. You see a cluster, and mamash, you could see it was not ripped off, but you see that it grew in one line. So it's either grapes missing, but growing on their own stems, or you see on the stem, on one stem, just grapes growing on one side. Says Ramban, so that sounds like a defect in growth. So those you would leave for the poor people. Meaning it's not unhealthy, I'm sure, but something wrong with this. And says Ramban, that's Hashem indicating that he wants the poor person to get that. What do you want to say?
I was going to say just it's a grape is an amazing tree.
Yes.
Because it's so thin and it gives so much fruit.
Yeah.
Think about it. It
Yes.
takes so little room.
Yes.
You don't need a big tree.
I don't know what you're talking about. So little room in my house when I was growing up, our whole courtyard,
Also.
we had a wood, metal pieces, and the whole courtyard we had grapes.
Yes.
Mamish, bigger than fingers. Each grape on the cluster.
Yeah, but think
so
about
heavy.
the stem.
You're
Think
right.
about the stem.
Yeah.
The stem is so thin. There's no
that's right.
branches.
Yes, no. That's the
It
branches.
takes almost no room.
No, you can't say no branches. No branches, otherwise it's not
a
be
vine.
hands.
Yeah, it's a vine.
It has to be branches, but those branches are so thin and they're holding such a heavy thing. What about what's his name? There's watermelons they grow. Not always watermelon grow on the ground. They have actually that's growing now. I saw pyramid, like somebody has a plastic thing. They grow watermelons and it's hanging.
But it's just a small. It's a
etrogim. What about etrogim? You saw etrogim. They're not on the ground.
They're in a tree.
The one that I make a bracha with, the etrogim at least minimum foot long. Those the real etrogim that have zero problem.
It's a big tree, no?
No, they're hanging on the branch also.
On the vine?
On the vine, like a vine, not the vine, but it has a little stem that's holding it. Little stem that's holding it. How does it hold it? Nobody knows. Baruch Hashem. Hashem has His own miracle for us. Okay, let's continue here.
These are like
Hen anavim aktanim. Okay.
And these are like the top,
Yeah. הנגרעים בלעז גטימש. Okay. What's that? Somebody's calling again? Okay, forget about it. Somebody from Florida. וזהו דבר מועד בוודאי לפי הנראה בכרמים שלנו. So it's a very small amount you'll see, and those things you could see, and that's what Torah told us to leave here. וכן אמרו, זכרונם לברכה, איזה הוא עוללות, כל שאין לו לא כתב ולא נתן. And what olilot means, it doesn't have this whole spreading in the shkol as we discussed. So that's so Ramban says he doesn't understand how Rambam could make that mistake, but the sages clearly tell us what olilot means. Olilot means defective growth. It has to be defective growth because the Gemara says it. So that's why here Ramban has a zero problem to say clearly and declare out loud that Rambam is mistaken. And obviously you could make a mistake. You could understand why. Okay. ובלבד חיוב זה שעוללות יש עלינו חיוב להניח פאה. So it says Ramban, no. So on one side there is olilot, there is this, now that you understand what olilot is, now you understand what the Torah is implying. Besides olilot, now we have also to leave our corner. Meaning that, remember, what's pia? Pia is some fruit left over. In the grain, we already said one kernel would be more than enough. Here also one cluster, which should be more than enough. So besides all those defective, according to Ramban, besides all those defective little grapes that are growing in the small branches, besides that, you must leave additionally a corner a little corner of Pia. And that we already said, Rabbanan said not one cluster, but like 1 out of 60. ובפאת הכרם לא בא עליה כתוב מבואר, אלא דגמרינן אחריך או אחריך מזיתים. And also, in reference to the vineyard, it's not specifically open. It's talking about there after the limud of olives, we learn into זיתים. כדאמרינן בגמרא חולין ופירוש 4 מתנות שבכרם. As the rabbis taught us in Chulin, Masechet Chulin, there are 4 types of, over there clearly, that there is 4 types of gifts from Kerem. Haperet v'haoledot hashchacha v'hape'ah. So in reference to vineyard, there is peret. I guess peret where the whole cluster fell down. V'haolelot, and this olelot we discussed the defects. V'hashchacha also those things that are forgotten. You gather the whole basket of grapes and you forgot it. You didn't put it on the truck. You left and then you forgot. Remember that you forgot that basket. You must leave it over for the aniyim. V'hape'ah, and the Gemara discusses here. There is a 4th element of that that we must give to the aniyim, that corner of the field. So you see, it's not like Rambam Erol. שניים שבאילן, השכחה והפאה, וגמר שם פאה בקהיר ונכתיב לה, לא תעולה לאחריך. So the Torah over there, they are learning it from the concept of the פאה. ואמר, רבי לוי אחריך זו שכחה. אמר, so that now it discusses over here all the details, what we're discussing. ואמר, הוא זיכרונו לברכה, כי הרמב"ם זיכרונו לברכה כתב העניין בתיקון בחיבורו הגדול. So הוא מכירם שלמדו מלשון אחריך. So now Ramban, וילמד הרמב"ן זיכרונו לברכה פאה בכל האילנות מזית. So Ramban learns in reference to all the pea, the leaving aside a little tree, somewhat of a tree from the olives in the Torah, nothing to do with the wine. The Torah specifically tells us about olives that you must leave over a corner, but not vineyard. And the fact is that the wine also becomes the Torah, is from, from the limud of learning of the olive, and it is from the word that Hashem added over there, acharecha, from after you. ואמרו זיכרונו לברכה, כי הרמב"ם זיכרונו לברכה כתב העניין בתיקון בחיבורו הגדול. So however says Ramban, so this is what Minchas Chinuch brought in the beginning. This was the original language of Rambam, and then sounds like Ramban did make a correction in the Mishnah Torah. When he wrote the Mishnah Torah, he made that differentiation that the vineyard is not actually mentioned in the Torah outright, but it's limdu, it's learned out. So it's not like Rambam who originally told us the both things, the olive and the vineyard is learned out. No, it's the olives that are learned that's written, and the vineyard is learned out. So that doesn't make it Doraita anymore. Or maybe it is Ke'en Doraita, because there's a hint to it. So lechoira, but again, it's not mentioned openly in the Torah to leave over a corner of your field of vineyard. Again, ומכלל מחלוקתם זה אין לנו תוספת ויגיירוה בחשבון הלווין. So because of this, מחלוקת, still we do not remove, obviously, Rambam's opinion. The Chinuch is actually talking to us from Rambam's perspective. So 613 mitzvot that the Rambam enumerates, the Chinuch is telling us from there. So just because Ramban is telling us that mitzvah number 221, Rambam is mistaking, it doesn't mean now we take it out of the cheshbon. שאין המחלוקת אלא שהרמב"ם זכרונו לברכה יפרש לא תעולל לפאה. The whole concept is that Rambam says that when it's mentioned לא תעולל in the Torah, it means the פאה, והרמב"ן זכרונו לברכה מפרש אותו לעוללות ממש. And Ramban says, what? Olelot, the word olelot according to Rambam means a corner of your vineyard. According to Ramban, olelot means those defective grapes that we discussed. But still, the prohibition is there. So mitzvah number 221, no matter what you say, it's either this or that, but it's one, still the prohibition is there, or the defective grapes, or a whole vineyard corner. Ramban
is considered Achron?
The both are Rishonim. No, the both are Rishonim. Rambam and Ramban are allowed to argue.
Apart, right?
No, still they could argue. Rambam was about 900 years ago. Ramban is about 600 years ago. So they could argue. דקרין אחריך אחריך
600 years
מזיתים.
already was already the Arizal's time.
No, 500 years ago. Arizal was about 500, 400, 500 years old. Between up about in I think 1500s, 14 no late 1400s, early 1500s. Okay, and Ramban was late 1500s, 1600s. Rambam was 1900, 19.
So Ramban was in
No,
the-
sorry. Go backwards. I make a mistake. Early 1400s, late 1300s. That's Ramban. Late 1100. No, sorry. Early 1100, late 1000. It's Rambam.
Ramban is right before the Achronim.
About 100 years, something like that. אוקיי, וזה עליו גם כן ניתק לעשה שאם עבר וקהילה הכל, שחייב לתת את העוללות לעניים. Oh, so now, here's the lesson. Remember that. We have a prohibition following what? A commandment. So why does Hashem do that sometimes? He's telling you that there is a way. You said what to get you double punishment, right? The two averot. It's actually no. Zohar. When this prohibition comes after a commandment, it's actually to help you fix the prohibition. The commandment tells you to give over, right? You collected all of it. So now what comes a commandment? You go fulfill the commandment. Why? You still have the vineyard. You didn't get rid of it. You didn't sell it all. You didn't eat it all. So you could now go and give it to Anim. And that's the reason sometimes HaKadosh Baruch Hu does that. He gives you a commandment and prohibition to teach you that there is a kapara, there is a tikkun of the prohibition. There is a way to atone for your prohibition sin. That's one. There's millions of reasons, but that's one of them. Now, Mishra Mitzvah, the reason of this mitzvah, we're here discussing this back and forth. What Rabbi, come on, what are you doing? Why do I need all this? You know why you need this? Remember, the whole Torah is based on one thing. And one thing only. What is it, Zohar? What is the Torah based on? Ve'ahavta l're'acha kamocha. We are here created for the next person, and here go carry. You're not exempt from caring for poor people. You're going to go back and forth, learn this way. Is it a Rambam? Is it a Ramban? But at least you're going to have in mind the discussion, constant discussion in your throat, on your mouth. The concept is that I'm here created to care for other people, not just for myself. Mitzvah number 222. I see Eliyahu has a couple of minutes. It's very small, but again, it's all related. Mitzvah number 222, telling us now that peret kerem laniyim. So those things that fell off from the cluster when you were gathering, v'hu mashit pared v'ipol min ha'navim b'shad ha'betzerah. So while your workers were gathering, those Mexicans across the border, they came to work for you and then go back and they made all the money. So while they're collecting, if they drop grapes, I was making a joke, I was only laughing. Anyway, I was saying those Mexicans across the border to gather your vineyard, and so whatever they drop, that's called peret. Those things you must leave for the aniyim, shenemar, la'ani v'lager ta'azov otam, you must leave it for the aniyim. ופרט, אחר שזכר ופרט או פרט קרב לא תלקט, בלאו דלא תלקט, אך לכתוב כל ענייני המצווה בעזרת השם. Tomorrow we will discuss more in depth, the Rabbi says, in the prohibition of gathering those grapes that fell off, and בעזרת השם בסייעתא דשמיא, בשעה טובה ומוצלחת, it says in English, they say what? Stay tuned. בעזרת השם, tomorrow we will go more deeply into this halacha, mitzvah number 223. Baruch Adonai Olam, amen ve'amen. Whoever needs to go work with Shefa Benachal B'Simcha, make a lot of money without any headaches, and with a lot of joy.